Right, February the 17th, the undisputed fight between Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In today's video, myself and my guest today, Dan Morley, are going to be speaking about the fight. We're going to be breaking it down. We're going to speak about the keys to victory, and we're going to give our takes on what we make of the build-up going in to this bout. Dan, you looking forward to this one, mate?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just been brewing for years. Like, we haven't had an undisputed champion since what, Lewis? Like 20 years ago?
Yep.
So, yeah, and I like both fighters as well. Both fighters are top class, good style class. Yeah, man, I'm buzzing.
It's a funny one, this one, because I've been looking at little bits and pieces, snippets from the build-up, and it seems like Oleksandr Usyk has been the man that's been in preparation for this fight a lot longer than Tyson Fury. You hear Tyson Fury quite often in the build-up say that this wasn't the plan. It was never in his sights to be fighting Oleksandr Usyk, and I think Tyson Fury's a character that relies quite heavily upon like routine and structure, and I think that when things come in and disrupt that structure and disrupt that routine, that's when you see Tyson Fury start to get a little bit more rattled, and we've seen that in the build-up so far. What have you made of the war of words, if you could call it that, between these two?
You know what? Like, I was watching Tyson Fury, that famous gloves are off with Klitschko, and just like how psychologically on it he was. Like, he's, you know what I mean? He's just done Klitschko before the fight, and people forget now when they see Tyson, you know, like the man he is today and what he's done. He was a heavy underdog there. People used to say he was clunky and he couldn't box, and Klitschko was on a mad streak. And I remember seeing that before the fight and thinking, I think Fury's got his number here. So, like, you know, I
backed Fury in that fight, by the way. Do you know what odds he was?
What were the odds?
9-1 for Fury to win that.
Yeah, but
I won a fair bit on that. That was good.
Like, Klitschko was the man. Like, Klitschko, like, people were forgetting, like, he just boxed Jennings, Pulev, and like a couple years earlier Povetkin, and like people think he was boring, and that, you know, at times he was, I'm not gonna lie, but he was on a mad one. But like, kind of going into this fight, you could see he'd gotten in Klitschko's head, whereas Usyk just seems unfazed. And like, ever since with Fury, like, I just always take what he says with a pinch of salt, because like one day he's training 4 months for a fight, next day he's been training 5 weeks for a fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'd hear like news outlets just posting everything he said. I'm like, mate, just take what he says with a pinch of salt. Like, when he's in the ring boxing, watch him, enjoy him, but like everything he says into the build up, do you know what I mean? Just it's here and there and everywhere. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to get to Usyk, if I'm honest with you.
Do you think this would be the first person that Tyson Fury's boxed that he hasn't been able to get some sort of mental edge on?
Yeah. Just trying to think. Yeah, more than likely. Yeah. I mean,
definitely in recent times, like, you could maybe look at Del Boy, and he didn't really have a mental edge in the build-up. In that trilogy fight of him, but it was like no secret that them guys were friends by that point. You know what I mean? Dylan White, there weren't much in the build-up to that. That was one that I remember when the fight was announced, because of how vocal Dylan White's been during his career, and because of, you know, what we've come to know and love in some cases about Tyson Fury in the build-up to fights. I remember thinking, this is going to be a banger. This build-up's going to be good. And then that one, again, like, was a little bit, not disappointing, but there wasn't really much of a war of words there. But when we look back at Tyson Fury, I think a lot of his best performances have come when we have seen him a little bit more rattled in the build-up. Like, for example, against Vladimir Klitschko, that's probably the last time you can go back, because the Wilder fight, he was coming back from obviously a long layoff, but people still understood the quality of Tyson Fury. Whereas going into the Klitschko fight, that was the one when I think that Tyson Fury's sitting there, he's looking at the media that are surrounding the fight, he's looking at probably the opinion of the guys on the internet and whatnot, and he's sort of thinking, no one thinks I've got a chance of winning this fight. Yeah. So I think that now we're seeing him a little bit more rattled, because we could probably agree in the build-up to this one, he has seemed a bit more, especially in that press conference, like that first press conference, he was shouting at Usyk, he was shouting at Usyk's team, so he has seemed a little bit more rattled, and maybe that might go in his favour. Maybe he needs that to get his back up.
Yeah, I've always described him as being the man that steps up to the big occasion, like, because he has put in some pretty poor performances. Like, even on the way up, like, there's a reason he was an underdog. Like, he wasn't looking amazing all the time, like a good boxer. But I don't know. Like, I think that people with Tyson, like, they're just too on it with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was only a few years ago that he was the best thing that's ever happened. Like, he'd give every heavyweight in the world problems. Now he's rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's people jump on him too much. Like he didn't look great in his Ngannou performance. It was a little bit embarrassing, like from the whole build up, really. Like, and I had, do you know what I mean? I had to eat my words because I said it was a mismatch. And going back to your previous thing, I don't think he really got in Ngannou's head either, to be honest with you. I don't 100% agree with you with the Wilder fight because, man, he was a big underdog for Klitschko, and it wasn't the greatest performance to watch, but it was an absolute masterclass, like psychologically and just psyching Klitschko out. But that first Wilder fight, like, I don't know, like Wilder was a bit of an unknown danger. Like, he banged out Ortiz, and he was considered like the most dangerous man. And what, Fury, a boxer, Seferi? Like, do you know what I mean?
Seferi, I think it was Francesco Pianetta.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was those two fights, and then he went straight into the Wilder fight. So.
And like, you just didn't know how he was gonna, do you know what I mean, compete. And he only really had that one top quality win. Do you know what I mean? And even in the Klitschko rematch, I was thinking, like, who would have won that rematch? Probably Tyson, like, with hindsight. But when you look at the performance Vlad put in when he let his hands go a bit more against Joshua, it troubled him. So yeah, I mean, you know, that first Wilder performance was amazing as well, and even the second one, I think the second one is so underrated. It's one of the best boxing performances I've ever watched live, because with hindsight now, you see Wilder against Parker, you can kind of say, was he all that? But mate, at the time, like, he nearly killed Fury in that last round. He banged everyone out. He knocked everyone on the floor. And like, just to go and walk down the hardest puncher in boxing when he was considered a master boxer. Do you know what I mean? So his back was up against the wall a bit on those ones, in my opinion. And yeah, I still favour him against Usyk. And I've got so many people telling me Usyk's going to win, and I could see it going either way. But I back Tyson in these big fights.
Well, there's a lot of talk online, isn't there? There's a lot of talk everywhere I'll look at the moment. Every bit of, you know, boxing news I'll read, and every sort of pundit giving their opinion on boxing I'll listen to. The sort of common thing that keeps coming up now is that Tyson Fury's legs may have gone. Tyson Fury might have took one too many punches in his fights. Obviously, I think he's been dropped 7 times in his career now. And there's that sort of common perception at the minute that I'm seeing in the media that potentially Tyson Fury is now past his best. And the last couple of performances, we've seen him slow down a little bit. All the fluctuating in weight, going up and down, is starting to take its toll. And this is going to be the one where we see that sort of come to fruition, that sort of explosion. Now, I don't agree with it. I don't think that. I think that time would tell me every time people have backed against Tyson Fury, he's ended up pulling out a big performance. But if his legs have slowed down, does that make Usyk a favourite in this fight, in your opinion?
Oh, mate, if his legs have slowed down 100%, because Usyk is like, you know what I mean, he's like a Duracell bunny, he's non-stop, and he's on you in it. Psychologically, he's on you. And like, I think Usyk is a future. He's already an all-time great. Like, people, a lot of the casual fans now, because like when Usyk moved to the heavyweight division, people didn't really give him that much attention. I always remember the picture when Joshua knocked out Povetkin, I think he was, and Usyk is like Darth Sidious in the crowd, just looking at him, and everyone's like, he ain't gonna be a thing. But like, people forget what he done as a cruiserweight as well, in a stacked cruiserweight division. So like, mate, 100% Usyk could beat Fury, but I just think with Fury, like, it's hard to judge. Like, his last couple of performances have been against Derek Chisora, you know, just giving his mate a payday, really, and Francis Ngannou. Like, how do you get yourself up for them? Like, with Usyk, he has the ultimate challenge, undisputed. And yeah, he's had a lot of fights, had a lot of hard fights, but Usyk's had more fights as an amateur. He's had hundreds, and people are jumping on Tyson for like a bad performance and his legs are going, but like, Usyk has vulnerabilities with the body shots that we just seen recently. I still think that was a low blow, but there were a few good body shots in there that didn't put him on the floor that he was complaining about. And Bradis is hurting with body shots, so Tyson's crafty up close. It's going to be a good fight.
Has Tyson ever boxed someone with the same sort of skill set as Usyk? So we've seen him box, obviously, cruiserweights and Steve Cunningham and a couple of other opponents when he was on the come up. We've seen him in there with a couple of southpaws, but we've never seen him in there with someone who, in their previous fights, is able to show the amount of volume in terms of output that Usyk's able to.
Yeah, it's a completely different style, but I mean, Vladimir Klitschko was no mug, do you know what I mean? And like, he wasn't past his best. He was coming towards the end of it, but like, he was on like a 9-year win streak or something. Completely different style. Klitschko was a lot taller, a lot more cautious. Usyk's going to use his brain more, lots more angles, and he's going to psychologically try and wear Tyson out. So, no, probably not. He's probably never faced such a fighter as Usyk, but I think it's the same in the other way. Like, Usyk has boxed very good fighters, big fighters, Dubois, AJ, you know, strong fighters, Bradis, do you know what I mean, and Gassiev, but he's never boxed someone that is as versatile and as big as Fury. So that's why it's such a compelling fight, because they've both proven it against top fighters, and they both bring like awkward styles. In regards to Usyk having the legs and being able to move, Tyson can also smother him, lean on him. Like, if he's able to pin him down, like, do you know what I mean? It's swings and roundabouts.
You know how everyone would credit like Usyk as, obviously, I'm guessing everyone would credit Usyk as being the better boxer. Is it a stretch, or is it wrong for me to say that I believe that Tyson Fury is the more versatile man out of the two of them? Because with Usyk, it's one thing knowing the problem in front of you, and it's one thing solving the problem in front of you. And everyone sort of knows what Usyk offers, and no one seems to have an answer for it as of yet. But we do know what Usyk's going to do. Like, I'm pretty sure none of us think that Usyk's all of a sudden going to stand and bang with Fury. Usyk's going to try and be the same way he does in his fights, downloads information in the first couple of rounds, trying to win it on the lead hand, and then going through the gears, but constantly on him. Whereas Tyson Fury, mate, we don't even know what hand he's going to box with. We don't know whether he's going to come out orthodox or southpaw, let alone whether he'll stand and bang like he has recently walking forward, whether he might go back to the sort of style that we saw him with Peter Fury and early on with Ben Davison. Some people would say that might favour him, that sort of style. So I think that definitely going into it and trying to work out what we're preparing for here, Fury's a more versatile man out of the two of them, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, like, it depends how you look at it, because Usyk's skill set is off the charts, and like, if one thing doesn't work, he's able to adapt. Do you know what I mean? He is doing the same thing, but he's able to stay on you psychologically, physically as well on the front foot, but he's also able to outbox you on the back foot. And like, it's all well and good knowing what he's going to do, but if you can't hit the guy when he's doing it, do you know what I mean? It's difficult. But I do think, I've always thought that Tyson is, along with Crawford currently, is the most adaptable fighter in the world, because similarly to Crawford, he can switch it. I remember when he boxed Christian Hammer, he just did the whole thing southpaw. Everyone was like, what's this guy doing? Yeah. But like, he can do it. And like, you see him in his biggest fights. He can box with his hands behind his back. He can outbox people like Wilder. And I know, again, it's easy to give him grief for the Wilder fights and take any credit away from him, because Wilder didn't look, I mean, he looked terrible against Parker, which is also credit to Parker. But, you know, like, if you watch those Wilder fights, like, you get a different Fury in each of them. Like, the first one, he's slick, he can move. The second one and the third one, like, I was watching him up close. I'm like, he's been fighting his whole life. He's big, he's strong, he can do everything.
The third Wilder fight as well, like, his camp was awful for that. He was sleeping on a hospital floor, I think, a week before the fight or something, because his missus was giving birth, and I think they had loads of stuff go on, and the camp was not ideal, and I think that basically he then went in there for a shootout with Wilder, and it worked in the end, but had to overcome some scary moments. Yeah. Well, speaking of camps, I'm sort of looking at the two of their preparations right now. We're seeing little bits and pieces, and we're hearing a lot of rumours about sparring and about how people's camps are going. Johnny Nelson said that he's heard Tyson Fury's getting filled in. No, funny enough, Eddie Hearn has said the opposite, which you'd think, if anything, it would be the roles reversed. You'd think that Johnny Nelson might be a little bit more giving praise for Fury, and Eddie Hearn might say something like that. But the main thing was, we were hearing have you heard this rumour?
Yeah,
Jai Opetaia, was apparently bashing Fury up in sparring. Now, the strange thing here is, right, obviously Fury's based in Saudi right now, so he's doing all his training out of Saudi. They flew Jai Opetaia out there, apparently he did 5 rounds and left camp. But then the thing was, why has he only done 5 and left? Would you fly someone out there all the way for 5 rounds sparring? Well, the answer to that's probably no.
Yeah.
But I do think that when Jai Opetaia was first flown out there, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but his fight with Bradis hadn't at that point been announced, and I think that maybe he was flying out there to be in the camp. Then he's realised that it's mostly all southpaws in the camp. Obviously, Bradis is orthodox, and that could be it. Eddie Hearn said that he hasn't heard that anyone were hurt in them sparring sessions or anything like that, and there's conflicting reports. But when you know that Tyson Fury is sparring the likes of Jai Opetaia, albeit for 5 rounds, Moses Atoma, that's got to be a good one. When you hear the sort of personnel that Tyson Fury's got in the camp and he's mixing him with, surely if you're a Fury fan, that's going to give you a bit of confidence because he's got serious guys in the camp to sharpen the tools with.
Yeah, to a certain degree, but if those rumours are true, then surely it knocks your confidence. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard. Jai Opetaia is an animal.
Do you believe them rumours?
I don't know. I've listened to things about it, and it's like you say, like, would they really flying from Australia to Saudi? I don't know whether he knew he was fighting Bradis before. I'm sure they were talking about it, so I'm sure that they would have prepped for like orthodox sparring. They wouldn't have just gone at. Do you know what I mean? I guess they get orthodox sparring with Fury if he goes in the orthodox stance, but he's not exactly the same build as Bradis. So I don't know. It doesn't really add up, but sparring rumours are one of the biggest fights in recent years. There's going to be rumours. I don't know. I definitely think Opetaia is capable of bashing Fury up in sparring. Do you know what I mean? I think he's class. But it's sparring at the end of the day. Like, you can't really read that much into it.
Have you seen anything of Usyk sparring? I'm pretty sure he's got old Marius Wack in there, which it feels like everyone that prepares for Fury gets him in. You know what I mean? Because it's like, the height. But realistically, especially off the back of the little conversation we've just had about Fury's versatility, surely it's going to be a little bit easier stylistically to prepare for Usyk than it is for Fury.
Yeah, to a certain degree. But like Moses Atoma, I think he's class, and Jai Opetaia, I think is class. But they can't emulate Usyk's style as well as Usyk can do it. Do you know what I mean? The thing is, with Usyk as well, trying to get him used to Fury, like you're not going to be able to get used to someone like that. There's no one that's 6'9" as versatile. Marius Wack is stiff. Do you know what I mean? He's got a massive chin as well, like, which nothing to do with the style. But it's they're both so good. You're never really going to get someone on that level with the same height and size. That's where all their experience comes into it. Usyk is one of the greatest amateurs in the last 30, 40 years. He would have boxed all of those styles. Fury's been around for years. He's boxed loads of different styles. So, this sparring will just sharpen them up, get him kind of, accustomed to what they might face in the ring. But you're never going to get like someone that can get you prepped for Tyson Fury. The guy's like nearly 7 foot. He's going to switch. He's going to lean on you. He's going to box. The same with Usyk. Usyk's like he's like a massive Vasily Lomachenko. Like, how can you get? Do you know what I mean? I mean, you could argue he's probably accomplished more than Loma now, but like they're just such good fighters that they can only really sharpen themselves up for this. Like, you'll never get someone of the same size and quality as the person you're fighting.
And let's say that the rumours of Fury getting bashed up in sparring aren't true. Let's say that the people who are suggesting that maybe Tyson Fury's best days are behind him are wrong. And let's say that the sharpest, best possible version of Fury is able to get in there February 17th on fight night and perform against Oleksandr Usyk. If you were a coach, what version of Fury would you want to see? Would you want to see a version of Fury like we saw against Vladimir Klitschko, who's got the speed of hand and foot? Or would you want to see the version of Fury that maybe went in there for the second and third fight against Deontay Wilder and seems to have gone into the ring since with a lot more emphasis on obviously punch power, walking his opponent down, trying to utilise that Kronk style that obviously Sugar Hill's put into him? What do you think the best tactic is for Fury in this fight?
It's tricky, man, because if you do apply that aggressive style, like Usyk is one of the best timers in boxing. He's going to time you with a shot. So, and like people were saying that about the Joshua fight. They were like, why didn't Joshua just walk him down? He's much bigger. But it's like, mate, because he's got like one of the sharpest punchers in the world like against him. Like, it's not that easy. So
it's funny though, isn't it? Because when we look at Del Boy's performance against him, everyone said, oh, well, Chisora just walked him down sort of thing, and it exposed how you can fight Usyk. And you could look back at even the amateurs, and you could go, well, we've seen Beterbiev sort of do that to Usyk as well in the amateurs. But for every example like that we can give, we can then go, well, yeah, all right, Beterbiev did do that to him in the amateurs. Yeah. But Joe Joyce fucking didn't. Joe Joyce weren't able to do that to him in the amateurs. You could go, yeah, Chisora did do that to him when he moved up to heavyweight in the pro ranks, but Anthony Joshua weren't able to do it to him. Daniel Dubois weren't really able to do it to him. And as well, like this whole thing about pressure in Usyk, it's, listen, of course, like there's reason behind why people would think it's the best tactic, but also, right, whenever we have seen Usyk hurt, or what we perceive as, seeing him hurt, it's never actually really come out of a situation where someone's trying to bully him. No. It's normally come in a exchange at not distance but like mid-range or something like that. Like you look at the shot that Daniel Dubois hits him with, whether it's low or not, you can't deny that it hurt him. That didn't come from Dubois really sticking it on him. Even like the shots you've seen him drop within the amateurs, they normally come from trades. So it's not like we've seen someone go in there, bully him, bulldoze him, and then bash him up and pin him on the ropes or anything like that. So it's hard for Fury to work out, isn't it, exactly how to approach it?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, Joshua did it in a rematch a little bit. Like, he stuck in and he weathered the storm. And Usyk, I think you can time Usyk. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think if again, I was watching that third fight with Wilder, with Fury, and if he can get up close, lean on him and work the body, then that might be a way to do it. But getting in close ain't going to be easy because he's going to be gone. But, like, you also got to bear in mind, like, these guys, they're like 15, 20, whatever, stone. It's exhausting to fight like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to press this guy, you're going to walk into shots. And people forget, like, the first Joshua fight, like, going into that rematch, like, he nearly had him out of there by the end. Like, he had him hanging on the end of the rope. So, like, the style that you have to fight this guy with keeps you so mentally switched on. You're absolutely exhausted by the end of it. So pressuring him, knowing you're going to walk onto shots. And like, I don't think he's the hardest puncher, but mate, pro boxers can crack. He stops people, he wears them out, tires them out and stops them. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, you're right. Chisora did it, but Joyce didn't. Two completely different styles. Like Beterbiev did it, but Joshua didn't. Different physiques, the different ways they approach it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he beat them all. So, like, you know, you can put pressure on him, but he's got through everything. Do you know what I mean? He's got through all of that pressure that they've put on him.
So, being that he has beat every man put in front of him so far, why do you believe that Tyson Fury is the man to end his winning run and that Tyson Fury will win this undisputed fight?
Well, mate, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I wouldn't put my house on it.
Yeah.
I rate Usyk a lot. Like, I think he's class, and I think if anyone's going to beat Tyson, it would be Usyk. But the reason I slightly favour Tyson is because I just think, as I've already said, like, like, the internet is a mad place nowadays, man. Like, everyone's an expert. Everyone digs everyone. But you can dig the fact that Klitschko was old, Wilder was never any good. Do you know what I mean? Dillian White was nothing. But, like, I don't believe that. Like, he's shown me that he can beat top operators, and like the pressure going into those fights was immense. So he's showed me that he can beat those top fighters. Pound for pound, maybe I think I would favour Usyk, like if they were the same size. But you got the fact that Tyson's 6'9" as well, and he knows how to use that size. Do you know, like I could see Usyk nullifying it with his movement, picking him off, wearing him out. But I just think Tyson's just going to be too big, and I think he's very good as well. But again, like I could see Usyk winning this fight. I could see him picking Tyson off. It's a tough one, but ultimately I do just think Tyson can use his size. He can stay at distance, like trying to, like against Ngannou, like mate, he went out and tried to bang him out with the first punch. Watch it. Like there wasn't that same element of respect he'll have for Usyk. And I just think he can keep his distance, and like if he gets up close, works the body. Mate, like having how much does he weigh? Like 22 stone?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, 22 stone, 6'9" fella, leaning on you, working your body. If you're Usyk, what is he, 6'3", 6'4"? I don't know.
6'4", yeah.
6'4", yeah. Like it's a massive weight disparity.
If it is Fury, what method of victory?
I don't think he'll stop Usyk.
No.
I think that. I mean, Wilder's very tough. Like we've seen it in all the Fury fights, and we've seen it with his fight against Parker because he took a load of stick. But like, I don't think Fury is a massive puncher. Do you know what I mean? Like he never used to box like that. He'd chip people away, kind of wear them out. Scored a very good knockout against Dillian White, but that was an uppercut. Like Dillian White's susceptible to uppercuts. So I don't know whether Tyson is a massive puncher, and I think going into the Ngannou fight where he'd had quite a few stoppages, maybe. I don't know. I don't think physically he is as a huge puncher. So I don't see him stopping him, but I could see him wearing him down. And do you know what I mean? And mate, I don't know. It's such a hard fight because you don't know how he's going to box.
I am going to go with a Tyson Fury late stoppage. I can just feel... I feel like Fury's going to come out. He's going to have a look at him. I feel it'll be close with nothing much between him in the first 3 rounds or so. And then I just feel like there's a point in this fight that Fury goes, fuck it, and starts walking him down. And I think in doing so, either one of two things happens. Usyk uses his timing on the way in, clips Fury with something and puts him over, or Fury manages to break him down. To be honest, I could see both happening.
I
could see both happening.
Oh,
I could see him getting clipped on the way in and then getting up off the canvas and somehow being able to stop Usyk. Something like that Steve Cunningham stoppage where it's just mauling, brawling, horrible, dark place for Usyk. But maybe I'm a massive Tyson Fury fan, so maybe I'm speaking a little bit from the heart rather than from the mind. But ultimately, I want to know, what do you guys think? Who do you think will be the winner in this fight, and what are the methods, what are the keys to victory? Let me know in the comments. I will be reading all your comments. I'll try and get back to as many of you as I possibly can. As a thank you to Dan for coming in today, make sure you head over to his channel. It's linked in the description, and his socials pages where he's putting out all of his content. I will see you all in the next one.